Okay, so I've got this scene of Monty, and he runs and he jumps over this kind of space. Now I'm going to show you how to go about doing this. Okay, so if you were to look at the action, we have. I'll just make sure that I've got Monty's controllers on. We can see that we have, this animation, and it's all on this character. So obviously this initially seems quite complicated. So how do you go about doing this? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of reverse engineer this and do it backwards, so you can see the process I would use in order to animate something like this: a run, a jump, and then a continued run. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to leave. I've actually got a camera in this. I'll show you here. I've got a camera. Where does it show? Have I shown my cameras? I've got a camera here. I'm going to leave this camera and the lights and all this in. This is the camera I'm using to get this shot here. I'm going to leave that in, but I'll take out all the other bits and pieces. I'm going to get rid of the other cameras, not camera one, but the this one, and I'll leave that in. That, and Monty. So I've got rid of everything. So what do I do? Well, the first thing I do is I'm going to bring in another Monty. So I'm going to go File, Import, and I'm going to bring in a Monty. I've got Monty here, Monty Run Export. So I'm going to bring this in, and here is my Monty file. Where is it? Monty Run Export. Comes to make this wireframe so I can see what this guy is. Aha, there he is. There. I'm probably going to change this to the side-on view, and I'm going to make the lights invisible so they're not in my face. And I'm going to turn on my NURBS curves, and I'm just going to raise this controller, the one that Monty's on, up so Monty is in the right place. Different ways I can do it. I'll just do it in this. So I'll make this nice and small, and I'll raise this up so Monty is running here like this. That looks about right. Maybe I can raise it a little bit further. I'll zoom in a bit. Maybe put it a little bit so it's dead level. That looks about right. Okay, so presently I've got, and I'm going to move it backwards as well. I'll keep this Monty running at this speed. I'll go curves, pre-infinity, and I'm going to cycle with offset. So I've got this long line, and then just to make Monty start running a little bit further back, I'm just going to drag this. Let's drag this whole curve back a bit. Maybe have it, I don't know, about there. Is that working? Let's hang on, sorry. Let's see, you get this back. Try and just move it just in one axis. There we go, something like that. Maybe a little bit further. Okay, so we've got this. So far we've got just this. Okay, now probably the first thing you notice when you look at this is Monty's not running very fast, and he's going to try and clear this. So we want him to run a fair bit faster. Oh, another thing I'm going to do before I start doing anything is I'm going to clear. These are all layers that I made, so I'll leave some of them in so you know what they mean. I'm going to get rid of some of the other ones. I've got the ground layer. I'll get rid of all the Monty layers. So delete layer. Monty Geo, delete this. Monty Deco, I'm going to delete this as well. I'll explain what they mean when I'll make them again. Camera I'll leave in. Monty 2, delete that. Layer 1. I'll delete that. So presently, the only things I have in as layers, if I go to my perspective view and make this shaded, is the platform, which is the thing he's running on, my camera, and actually the ground doesn't look like it's there either. So I can delete this. I don't need ground. Delete layer. So I've just got two things in. Right. So we've got Monty running, and then we've got... Now the first thing is Monty's not running fast enough. He needs to really pick up the pace in order for the jump to work. So you want to see a real bit of acceleration. actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip him back just a little bit further by making the platform R, I make it unselectable. So I'm just going to select Monty again. And I'm just going to drag him back a little bit further. So maybe like this. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, so I can just by dragging that curve back in just in one axis by pressing on the Alt and the middle mouse button, I can pull Monty back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the time warp to speed him up, because Monty's going to have to speed up just before a jump. If you look at somebody doing a jump, they will speed up. So I want Monty speeding up. I don't want it like this. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to, in the animation menu, I can go into key, and you see this at the bottom of key, there is scene time warp. I'm going to add a scene time warp. Now presently I haven't, nothing has really been added. But the good thing about the scene time warp is I can add, so he jumps here. So I'm going to try and speed him up. I'm going to add a key to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into keys, the insert key tool, and if I middle mouse click, I can add a key, because I want Monty to speed into the jump. So I'm going to push this up a bit so Monty is going a bit faster. And I'm going to, if I curve it this way, it's accelerating. Now, I'm actually going to delete what happens after this, because I just want Monty to be speeding up. Maybe I'm making him speed up more than this. The more I curve it, the more the acceleration. I make him go faster still. So let's have a look at this. So I'm going to check this out, and this is the window I'm rendering from. So, ooh, that doesn't look so good. And you think I need to be even faster. So actually what I will do is I realized my camera was made for the previous one. So what I'm going to do also is I'm going to grab hold of his control, and I'm just going to maybe push him a little bit further forward still, so he's a bit more in shot. So maybe there. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see if he's still in shot. Okay, that looks a bit better. Okay, so let's have a look now. Oh. I can see he's speeding up, but he's speeding up a bit late. So what I need to do is I'm going to drop it back a wee bit. Let's have a look at this. Maybe a bit more. I'm trying to get the optimum maybe up a bit, so I've still got him short. So maybe something like that. Maybe I'll speed it up. So I'm going to go back to the key, scene time warp, and I'm going to go to select scene time warp so I can see this again. And I'm going to speed him up faster, more like here somewhere. So I'm going to add another key. So I'm going to go to my keys, insert key tool. I select one key on the line. I'm going to add another one. And I'm going to delete this one this time. And I'm going to push this up further. So he's traveling faster, maybe even faster than that, maybe more like this. So more like this. So maybe a bit less. So I've got this kind of thing. That looks a little bit better. Maybe something like that. Okay, so what do we have? And I'm just going to push him also just a little bit further forward. So I want his back foot. I think the pace is about right about here. So I'm going to grab hold of this line now, and this is the forward translation. I'm just going to put it a little bit further forward. So he's literally just about stepping off here. So then if I go back, we have this. Okay, so let's say that's fine. I'm good with that. What I need to do now is I need to bake out this animation, which presently I have just on this curve. But the animation, in terms of the keys, if I select Monty, the animation isn't actually baked onto this. It's a script that is running in Maya that is changing the speed, but I want this on my actual curves. Yeah, I want them on the curves. So to do that, what I have to do is I have to select, this is one of Maya's little idiosyncrasies, I have to select all his controls. I'll just unselect that, select his controls. So select all Monty's controls, and I have to put them in a separate layer, layer 1. And then I'm going to bake out this animation for, let's see, how many frames do I want this for? I actually only need it until he comes off. So really, 20 frames is enough. 20 frames of this is enough. So I'm going to bake out 20 frames. I might bake out a little bit more. I'll bake out 25 just for the hell of it. Okay, so I'll bake out 25 frames. So I've got this in the layer, and then I can just go with all these channels selected. They're in the layer. I've selected the channels. I put them in a separate layer, and I'm selecting them. I go Edit, Keys, and then I go to this Bake Simulation. Now in the Bake Simulation, I'm going to sample on 1s because it's a run. That just means I will get exactly the same curves. And my start time is going to be 1, and my end time is going to be 25. This is all I'm going to need, okay? And then I just press bake, and you'll see these lines change. Yeah? So, and if I look at the Translate Z, for example, has it done it? I'm going to try one more time. It doesn't look like it's done it, so I'm going to try one more time. Go back again, press undo. Okay, I'm going to select, I've got Monty's thing selected. I've selected the layer just in case that makes any difference. And I'm going to bake this again. I'll go Edit, Keys. I'll make sure, go back and make sure this is not 1s, 1 to 25. Bake. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. Anyway, let's have a look. So presently, if I look at this, we have something that appears very fast. And the reason for that is even though we have baked the animation on, we still have, if I go Keys, Scene Time Warp, select Scene Time Warp, there is still a scene time warp here, which is, so it's essentially, it's baked this onto Monty, but then it is still applying it again here. So we have to go Edit Keys, Scene Time Warp, delete Scene Time Warp. So what we have then, 1 minute. I thought Monty had speeded up. Let's try this again. 1 second. Going back again. This is par for the course. Select Scene Time Warp. Let's see. So I've got the Scene Time Warp now. I'm going to do this one more time. I'll delete the layer. I'm going to put all his bits and pieces, all the controllers, into a layer. So layer. They've all been put inside it. Now I'm going to go with the controller selected, Edit Keys, go to Bake Simulation 1 to 25, and I am going to bake. Okay? Let's have a look. Sorry, one of the occupational hazards of doing these videos is sometimes you end up making little mistakes. Now I realize the layers I should be talking about are not the display layers, so I'm not going to, I'll delete this layer, but sorry, here the anim layers. So what I should do, or what, if you want to bake out a scene time warp, is you go to the anim layers. Presently the anim layer just has the base animation, which is this, and so what we have to do to bake out the scene time warp is we have to select his controls and place it by pressing on this button here into a separate anim layer. Now when we go edit, keys, bake simulation, bake, we will have the animation, and we can see it's baked the animation. But as I said before, it's baked it, but it's also added it the scene time warp still there, so I have to go back to scene time warp and then now delete it from the scene, so we just have the baked. And now this looks a bit weird, of course, but this is just, we've got to get him running and then coming over, and that's it. Okay, so he'll become invisible, you'll see after this. So this is what we have thus far, which doesn't look very. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to have him going to this point here. So frame 16 essentially, and or maybe, yeah, let's say frame 16, and then so maybe I'll have about 18 frames. So I'm going to go to about 18 frames, and I'm going to get rid of the rest of this. I don't want it looping, so I'm just going to go in and just delete this. Okay, so this is what we have. I could even delete this as well, so maybe I'll delete it just up to 16. So we've got like 16 frames worth. It's quite fast. So that, and then, okay, so this is what we have. Now, him running, and then I'm going to make sure this is also all post infinity. I'll make sure it's constant. So all the curves. And the anim layer now, I can get rid of it. I don't need it anymore. It was just really to bake out the animation. I'm going to delete all the, I'm going to make sure that all the curves after this on this are not cycling. I can see it's still cycling. So curves, pre-infinity, constant, curves, post-infinity, constant. So we just have animation that goes like that. Okay, this is it. Now, so we have that. I'll get rid of anything else that happens to be there. Let's get rid of it. So we've got this. Now, what we have to do next is we have to transfer Monty to global space. So we've baked out the scene time warp. We have this. Yeah. Speeding up, about to jump. Still got the camera moving there. But this is in local space, and by that, what I mean by that is the fact that, you know, this controller is moving. Now I put a whole video on transferring an object from local to global space, so you know it's worth watching. It tells you why we're doing this, just because it makes it easier to join things up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this control and the feet control actually with forward motion on it, not this control. This control will stay where it is. So to do that, I'm going to create 3 locators. 1, 2, 3. One for Monty's pelvis. Oops, pelvis. One for the left foot. And one for the right foot. Right, okay, and then I'm going to, so the pelvis locator, I'm going to I'll select this control here, control select the pelvis locator and go constrain, parent, make sure maintain offset is off, apply, and these channels will all go green, blue, sorry, and then I'll select the right foot controller and go constrain, parent, again making sure maintain offset, so it's clicked. If I show you, the locator is at the back of his heel.